Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is the Peace Bridge 2025 Niagara Falls Tournament. Thank you for joining us. This is round one. As you can see, our competitors rolling to see who will go first, as of course we are debuting the new rule, as in whoever wins the rule will go first or second. Second, of course, allowing to redraw for a duplicate. Thank you, of course, Howard Bertrand, the whole Bertrand family, for throwing this tournament for us. And of course, as a very special treat for this first game, I have Tyler Bertrand joining me. Thank you very much, Tyler, for joining me today for this wonderful first game we have.
Hey, everybody. It's good to be here. It should be a good day and a great tournament on top of that. So we're all looking forward to it.
Absolutely. So we got Josh Alexander against Jonathan Lewis. Of course, with that being said, Josh has Cthulhu, X-Babies, of course, as well, Hawkeye in Reserve, Onslaught Citadel, Team OverPower, and
New Warriors.
New Warriors, of course, getting to draw 2 cards when KO'd. Then, of course, we have Josh Alexander with Beast the Brute, Neymar Submariner.
This is John Lewis.
Oh, sorry. Then we have John Lewis with Beast the Brute, Neymar Submariner, of course, Silver Sable in Reserve, and
that is Abomination as his other character.
Abomination. And of course, Josh playing, of course, no energy power cards. Maybe played this battle, possibly also a KO event. And on Jonathan Lewis's side, I believe he is playing, at least for this initial round, to save the world.
Yeah, which is interesting because I feel like that's a great counter card to what Josh is playing. I'm going to assume Josh has the kill card in there with the plan to kill the New Warriors, probably with just a handful of cards. So I think that's his plan, and then to just get card advantage the battle they die, or he might be doing that through the Citadel and doing something similar that way.
And of course, we have on Jonathan Lewis's side to save the world, which is you draw, I draw, we all draw together, you discard, I discard, we all discard together. And of course, on Josh's side, we do have no energy power cards. Now, of course, John not showing any energy power cards in this first round, and quite a pretty nice hand. Of course, Josh actually looked like he bet 3 into him there.
Very interesting. So he could be doing some sort of early kill with the New Warriors, and he might be treating that card like Onslaught's kill card, like it's a draw 2, keep duplicates.
Quite possibly. Now, I did not see actually John draw there, so he may have actually ventured just 2. So it might just be 2 versus 2 at this first round. Now, it's even cards. It's looking like they both have some pretty decent action on the board. Of course, both on Josh's side, you do see a teamwork with the fuel. You do see Cthulhu's -5 there as well, it looks like, as well as a power card. On Jonathan Lewis's side, of course, you see a big 7, a big 8, and then, of course, Abomination's card as well, which I believe is a 7 strength as well.
Yeah, this is an interesting matchup. You've got your traditional like throwing bombs in big numbers versus some trickiness with Josh's deck. Even the Hawkeye card from the back is really tricky in that deck when you got 2 potential reserve characters to switch back. You could even put New Warriors probably back there, and then just if he is running a kill card, kill Hawkeye or something along those lines after he's healed somebody. But
now, of course, Ty kind of giving you the insight now on Josh Alexander's deck. Now, Josh having a lot of different ways to manipulate both his characters, venture, and as well, a lot of manipulation on the board. So now we do see a...
What was that?
I do not believe that was...
I don't think that was a legal play.
Yeah, so Neymar's card, which is the 4 energy, may make an additional strength or fighting power card follow-up. Now, him trying to follow up with Abomination 4 is not a legal play. Did return it back to his hand. Now, showing a little bit of information from his hand there, of course, for Josh Alexander.
I mean, that could have been a very brilliant attempt at forcing a concede, knowing that you've got a 2, maybe 2 additionals back there, and you've got a 7 on Abomination, and knowing that you've got a 2/7 that's going to kill the New Warriors initially. as a way to potentially intimidate the opponent.
Now, Joss, of course, picking up his card, acting like he was going to attack. Now, we are noticing as well, as he did lift up that power card, that the Cthulhu card is actually avoid one attack underneath. Of course, not actually providing as much gumption in this first hand as he might want.
And what's interesting is Jon's event, I believe, will protect him from the New Warriors draw. I think he'll get to take 2 cards as well. I don't know if it's limited to special cards or cards played.
It would not. So if you were to draw 2 cards from your draw pile, he would get to draw 2 as well. So if New Warriors were killed in this particular round, Jonathan Lewis would be able to draw 2 cards.
Now, he wouldn't be able to keep the dupes, but Josh would.
Correct. Okay, we do see an onslaught play early.
He is killing them.
Now, he has decided to kill him, draw 2 cards.
See if Jon remembers his event.
We will see if Jon actually understands the ruling here.
I think he forgot his own event, and Josh would normally have to discard that card, because now Jon Lewis would have to also discard a card as a result of that. So they both forgot about the event.
Now, I'm not sure if discarding on a draw would actually make your opponent discard on his event. It would?
But in this case, with the new rules, I don't believe he's supposed to discard that card because the character died this current battle. And I think Jon could probably protest that and say, that's an optional discard. You don't have to, therefore I shouldn't have to discard a card as well.
Now, of course, Ty talking about how the rules are forever changing in this new LRG landscape as we slowly enter into this new modern phase of the game.
Now, this card wouldn't trigger the event for sure because these are cards from the draw pile. And if they're from the draw pile exclusively and they don't ever go to your hand, then it okay. Oh, it helped them with 1 card.
So discarding 3 specials out of its draw pile. Of course, that is what the Abomination special says when it lands.
So we got a Rage, a 7. Rage would be great if they were alive, but...
Now, Josh making a very interesting move using his early Merciless Conqueror on the New Warriors for that 2 cards. Now, of course, as we had mentioned, Jonathan Lewis probably able to draw when he did discard the New Warriors in the KO fashion that he did.
I think especially because he played the Merciless Conqueror and it wasn't triggered by Jon himself. If there's any debate, I think it would be when you don't play a card to KO them.
Now Josh just trying to flesh out his last few attacks, trying to hold a little bit of placing advantage as he moves on. Of course, down 1 place card as we move into the next round. He did win the round and land 2 hits on 2 separate characters. However, the X-Babies limping into this next round with a mere hit, of course, of a universe or special being able to KO them. Now, there we go. Jon playing his own version of no energy power cards. You see Josh discarding an X-Babies negate. Of course, a duplicate being played. Ooh, Jonathan discarding 2 cards, both an 8 and it looks like a Neymar 6-4. Of course, revealing the Neymar 6-4 from his hand.
That's frustrating. It's like he's the one that lost the character.
And of course, placing that X-Babies negate on Josh's side there, not allowing Jonathan to know any of his healed or hidden cards in his hand.
I'm curious to see what Josh's OPD is, if he's stuck with plates or if he is running a cannon fodder for Cthulhu. I mean, I think either could be viable. He's probably running plates. That would be my guess. And then now he's treating the Hawkeye card probably as a lockout.
I could see him trying to use plates, protecting his final 8 character, hoping to just really hold it, as I'm assuming he's also playing one of the Cthulhu kill cards of one of his teammates as well.
Right.
Now, of course,
I forgot that card.
Josh down a card on placement, did gain it back through the discard, so they are even on cards in this round. Now, Josh would really be advantageous trying to actually win this round and put himself 2 rounds up, potentially 4 venture on the top. throwing out an early teamwork, following with a big 8, trying, of course, not being a KO shot there, but of course, being stopped with the Freya avoid from the back. Big avoid to use in that moment.
I think that's the right play. I mean, I like taking those and making them play the other card on a 19 point.
And of course, looking across the table, you don't really see too many other majorly large hits that you would want to use that Freya avoid on.
Yeah, it does. I mean, you don't want to spend it on the 2, but it does make it so he can at least soak up the 2 and you don't have to avoid that instead.
Throwing out an assist, 4 energy. May make one additional attack, of course, negating it, negating the ability for that additional attack, throwing, of course, the volley back on Josh's hands. What will Josh do now? Looking at 2 strength power cards, 2 brute force power cards, piling it on the beast.
See, I would have preferred to play that on Namor myself, but I just don't think that does anything there.
So that would, of course, bring it up to 16 total, as I believe that's a 3...
No, I think it's a
brute force power card. 2 brute force power card.
Brute force, that brings them up to 13. Is that 11 with the teamwork?
And of course, there's that Namor 6-4 that he discarded earlier. There's the 13. Of course, that's the 7.
So that would do it.
Attempting for the kill shot, blocking with a 7 of his own. Jonathan Lewis
that
holding tight.
It's just looking gross on X Babies though. Like that's I'm surprised he didn't just throw that. I guess he's got the plates now.
Of course, seeing the plates, he's really trying to cause mass hurt on Hawkeye, trying to actually end Hawkeye here, potentially eliminating 3 cards if he could actually get Hawkeye out before any of those cards come out.
He needs to win this venture because what Josh is going to try to do is play this fast, lose his characters, and lock out the last one. If he has to concede, that
was a big venture loss, I think, by Josh Alexander. I think that one was a particular moment where he was actually trying to really win that second venture, or at least even the game kilter with killing a character and bringing it back to 3-3.
Yeah, especially because his Hawkeye card now has dropped in value. That's a big one. Like you can use it to lock out Hawkeye and to bring the... Oh, okay.
And there's the KO card.
That
now,
helps.
Of course, Josh was up 3 cards to 2 on the placement. He did discard 1 off his event. Now, the kill card will occur here. Now, unless, of course, Jonathan Lewis killing Abomination, he will have to lose a card.
He can't have that many more Abomination cards, though. He's already played a 2 and he's played a 7.
It looks like Josh Alexander just discarded the X-Baby's Little Rogue. I'm assuming because he's going to maybe KO X-Babies in this scenario.
He's playing any heroes.
Ah.
Yeah. And I think that would be... I think you would have to discard that under the new rules. That one is one of the gray areas, I think.
Sure.
And I think the event, there's some confusion around the event, and I'm not going to call it here, but regarding... if you KO that character and you have their cards in hand this battle, whether or not you have to discard them.
Of course, Tyler mentioning, as the game is evolving, rules continue to evolve. Now, it looks like Josh electing to KO Hawkeye and Jonathan Lewis electing to KO Beast the Brute, his only negating character.
That's really surprising to me when there's a post plates left and the other guy's running out of characters. Very surprising.
Now, at this particular time, it does actually look like if you were to look at Josh Alexander's side of the board, he does have plates which would protect Cthulhu. And of course, if Cthulhu does have his own special that kills a teammate, this could be a situation where Josh Alexander could venture for the win.
You are seeing with Josh's deck too, where even just having 3 cards per character, sometimes 4, does make a difference if those all line up after you KO somebody, where all it takes is 2 or 3 of those cards to line up in a row where you're drawing them and now they're discarding, and that could end up where you have a hand that's going to win you this battle to one that's going to completely lose it for you.
Oftentimes in these pretty big pivotal games, you'll notice that round 2 or round 3 will be one of the most pivotal rounds that is played throughout the game. And as you can see here, this round 3 is shaping up to be probably, if not, the round of the game. Jonathan Lewis throwing 2-card venture out there. Now, Josh, of course, looking at his deck, thinking, what shall I do? How do I push this game back in my favor? Venturing 3, of course, Jonathan losing the card off the top. So a perfect venture 3 by Josh, getting a free venture off the top. Question is, can he pull out this battle? Now, looking at their cards, it is looking at like Jon is holding 9 cards total. Starting off with a teamwork. He's not releasing it yet, but I believe he wants to start with this teamwork, probably from Silver Sable. Not good for the kill, but looking to really add pressure onto the X-Babies here.
The trick when you're playing against the lockout is to score as much venture as you can, or make sure you're leaving yourself at least an open target. And the X-Babies inherit, when played correctly against, is actually a giant damage pool for venture-wise if you can get it open. So ideally, you make him use it on the X-Babies and then really lay damage on Cthulhu for the end game to leave him with the X-Babies. Or you just don't want him to lock out Cthulhu, him let X-Babies die, you have no venture, and he then is able to win a giant venture off it, leaving himself with an 8 character.
Now, great points. Of course, only venturing 3. He's not pushed for the win, so you can't imagine that he's going for the full lockout kill at the moment. He does look like he's trying to sort of capitalize on this venture here and then potentially go for the win either next round or the round after that. Now, of course, Josh is starting to sort of think it through, starting to understand that his openings are closing very quickly. Now, of course, not on a kill shot, using a protective plates, pushing everything back now to Cthulhu. Now, Cthulhu does have that big avoid on them and can actually use it on any of those pivotal big cards, whether it either be that 8 strength or brute force or that 7 multi.
So by Josh playing that makes me think that he does think he's got some end game alternative to pull this out. And I don't see it. Like, I think he really needed to set that card up and wait a bit longer. Maybe he was concerned about the duplicate, but
now I think personally, if he could win this round, he could still play towards the Cthulhu kill a character and the beast acrobatics and still potentially try to pull out some sort of, maybe not as solid end game win, but a maybe sort of like potential thought process to him. And he's sort of, I think, looking for that light end game. Now, everything revolves around him winning this round. So he really has to play very pivotal, has to play very smart, and not lose Cthulhu before the end of this round.
He's locking out now. So I think I would have probably gone for the win. He's down his negator. He placed a confusion instead of a Merlin. He's got 2 open slots. Most likely he would place a Merlin if he had one. I would have probably gone for the win here.
Yeah, very peculiar play, having 2 lockouts with your last 2 characters. Knowing he's probably going to win the venture, only venturing 3, really probably might have been able to push it. Now,
and you got stable as an open target as well. Yeah, see, I mean, I don't think there's anything Jon could have done. He did have but none of that stuff's going to do anything.
Of course, seeing the Grim Reaper also going by, I think that might have actually been Josh's moment to potentially win that whole game. I don't think you're wrong, Ty. I think that might have been a moment where if Josh would have taken an extra second, thought it really through, watched as his opponent killed his negate character, he might have changed for the actual win there. And I think he might have actually won it.
I don't think there's anything Jon could have done unless he drew the Merlin off the venture. I think that was his only option. And now if I'm Jon Lewis, I'm just looking at this thinking I got to survive, and I win.
Well, at this point, you're really just looking. All I have to do is knock out Cthulhu, and I'm pretty much sitting pretty here to the end game of a full win. Yep. So if I were Jonathan Lewis, I would be initiating all attacks towards Cthulhu, thus even possibly eliminating his teammate kill card or KO card. So you could potentially even gain one more. Now, Oof, as
That's
you can
interesting.
see, Josh even placing that
Image inducer.
image inducer that can draw all attacks over to the X babies. Quite an interesting placement. I don't know if I might have actually kept that in my hand as a potential card that Jonathan might thought would be bigger than what it actually is. I don't know how much the image inducer is actually going to assist him here in the game.
He might get it might save him from one attack. I think everything else can be worked around at this point. Everything else will be for the kill on who when he puts it on X babies. I think Jon will play a card that the X babies can absorb at this point, unless it's something really bizarre.
Yeah, unless as much as defense as he's used throughout his site, and of course Onslaught Citadel having very limited defense already in terms of the site. At this point, I do believe he's just holding on to the negate and the Holocaust Avoid at this particular time. Now, that's a pretty big play trying to stop Neymar from playing any specials. Now, I will say Neymar, other than the 6-4 and that multi-7, isn't really rocking too much other than the 4 make 2 additional attacks. That might have actually been better played on Abomination, knowing he has the 6 as well as his own personal Abomination and character may only attack.
Yeah, that's interesting because that's a nasty kill. I would be sick if I were Josh looking at that card.
That's a very tough card to deal with. That is a KO shot on the X babies through a universe ally of a 1 intellect, 6 any to use. Now, as you can see, Josh very disgusted, almost smirking and laughing as he throws his last character up on the board, thus showing you that image inducer is just a dead card sitting there as well. Now, he has blocked Neymar off. No more attacks may go towards Neymar.
Yeah, that's what you have to do, I think. I think that one just becomes a free card for you, even though you lost your X babies, as long as there's nothing else that you have to be concerned about.
And even though Josh is going for 2 here, he really is trying to win this round. Now, if Josh can pull this round out, he actually has won the game. However, of course, with 1 character remaining and a lot of the defense already out of his deck, I don't think Cthulhu is going to have too much here to truly protect himself. Now, I believe that is a 5 combat attack being thrown at Cthulhu.
And the issue is he has to win this almost spiritually as well, because the output Jon has is so high. He needs to almost repeat with numbers that are almost similar, and I don't think he's going to have multiple 7s and 8s coming from Cthulhu at this point in the game.
Well, as you can see, there's already an 8 brute force on the other side of the table in terms of Jon's side, as well as a 6 intelligence. I don't actually think Josh could defend either of those. Maybe with a 7 power card in his hand, if he did potentially have one.
Maybe
as you can see,
or something, or like
defending there with a big 6 intelligence, throwing out his own 3 brute force, getting blocked by a 4 combat spawn power card. Then, of course, coming back the other way with his own 3 combat.
So, I mean, he's got to think that the game has got to be over now. With his solo Cthulhu left, even with the battle set, I really don't think there's anything left in the Citadel other than a tuck that can help bring this advantage back. And when you've already taken 1 hit and it's a multi, it's going to be pretty tough to tuck more than 1 card. So it's essentially it's a hit doesn't count the venture.
Now, of course, this being game 1 of a tournament, you can see someone like Josh who's playing almost like a combo style deck, almost kind of learning his deck on the fly as we go here. It didn't look like it pulled out early. I could actually say I think that early KO to the New Warriors might have actually been a faulty play.
I agree.
But I will say that, had he won it on this last round, it would have shown that the game actually played in his favor, or even particular the round where he could actually block out his team. So I think Josh actually had potential win factors here, just didn't overly see them.
Yeah. I think he played things just a little bit at a time. I think he's playing a very complicated deck. I think this is one of the issues with that, is that it's down to really fine margins. As somebody that tends to do this, like something very similar, where I play tough decks, it sometimes you play something just a battle too early, a card or two too early, and that makes all the difference. And games can can be won or lost just based off of those plays.
And you can see Josh doing his best here, placing out as much as he can to try to sort of salvage this mid to late game. Now, of course, with 2 8 characters to 1, and of course, you know, your opportunity to lay more hits and take more, and your opportunity would quite quickly fall into your favor. As you can see, Jonathan winning these easy ventures all of a sudden by just placing out, having advantage of characters, and having Josh actually sort of reel back, looking for that last final win condition, which honestly, with the Citadel and just Cthulhu left, I don't see too many more win conditions, as he has basically used most of his.
Is that the tactic you get +3?
Block offs.
I don't even know what event that is. I think it's something to do with either KO characters or tactics, or it's something strange, but I will.
Of course, discards being placed here now. As you can see, quite interesting. Jonathan Lewis playing both 2/6 intelligences for Abomination, as well as 2/4 energies for Submariner, looking for those big offsuit attacks as big additional specials. Josh losing a few additional cards as well. This looks like it might actually be the most pivotal, if not the big round going here. Now, Josh placing the Cthulhu -5 there finally. And of course, that not being enough. Now,
yeah, so the event actually gives Josh an extra +3. It's a +3 for each character KO'd this game.
Now, that's actually not the -5. I do believe that's actually the character KO card.
It could be. Yeah, I think you're right, because I don't see one per deck on it.
Over the
or it could be the
buildings.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think, or it could be the bodyguard card.
Oh, interesting. Yes.
Which would be helpful right now. That would actually be a very big card for him, but
being able to place a speed bump out in front of Cthulhu would be quite an interesting play. Now, of course, Rebirth being there. Now, Tyler just mentioning he does get a +3 for every KO'd character. Now, he looks like he does not actually. He might have enough just to go for the win right now if he pushes it all. 4 at the top, 1 in the center. Playing out now, of course, Jonathan, very famous for playing those 1 allies offsuit, 6 ennies. Big, key, intricate part of his decks.
And what's interesting about that is that as actually the answer to the bodyguard type cards too, which is very interesting, because you don't want to eat one of those on a bodyguard because it's very much a waste.
Now, of course, throwing out the ally, now throwing out the energy additional, now may make 2 additional attacks. That is, of course, that 8 brute force power card that's sitting on Neymar right there, as well as potentially a combat power card from hand, should he have it.
Has Josh used this Holocaust of Void? He has, right? Or no?
No, he has not.
I don't think he has. So that's a big activator placed, but
does have a big avoid place. Now using a 6 on a 4.
Oof.
And of course following up with the other multi.
It's just everything John is throwing is just, there's no safe hits to take because of that 7. Everything's contributing.
And of course, knowing that 8 brute force just sitting there is daunting him as well.
Yeah.
Between either that 6 intelligence or the 8 brute force, both being kill shots or KO shots.
And his own chain is not doing anything for him. That 4 combat placed is really ugly, actually, against those combat hits. It's a free card and it's a free attack, but
now Josh wiping the sweat from his brow, doing the mathematics, trying to figure out whether he can take the Cthulhu on the Cthulhu, placing out the bodyguard now. Now, of course, not in getting to choose which attack goes towards that. Of course, it's just Jonathan's next attack automatically goes into the bodyguard.
So I believe, because the first thing that would cross my mind is, can I play my confusion against that to burn it? And the question, like, or your any character, right, which can also discard a placed one. So the idea is it has to be a qualified attack first just because you can throw it to discard it, they would have to have a place teamwork in order to make the play initially. So that's the rule, in case anybody's curious.
Oh, quite an interesting play there. Now, of course, with the Holocaust activator placed, he is using the Hades as the avoid. Now, of course, essentially making that Holocaust either tuck, as we call it in the old game, where you would tuck all the current hits into the permanent, or of course potentially a 5 energy remove 1 hit. Now those are the most common style cards played for Holocaust under a battle site. Of course anything could be under there. Now, I see Josh just reeling, trying to find a way, trying to find an answer, but of course, keeping that 8 and that 6 intelligence placed, just really overpowering Josh, not really allowing him to gain any advantage whatsoever, even with his 2 cards placed.
So the one thing I would have tried to set up if I were Josh, now it is getting to almost be too late now, would have been to throw that 4 against specifically Abomination, set up 11 points of KO permanent hit KO pressure, and the idea would be then set up my post for an 11 venture. Expect that the next card's going to kill, and unless they can KO my last character with an 11 or higher, I've set up a win condition.
Interesting choice. Now, Ty is mentioning that he would use that post card, so he would have taken that 4, thrown it, of course, on as well that combat hits that are sitting on Abomination. Hopefully it hits, goes into the permanent record, and then this particular round, of course, potentially either venturing for the win, venturing everything, and then, of course, as you can see, venturing. And of course, there it is.
He had a Merlin left anyway, so I mean, I don't think
Josh Alexander understanding that, his ways of coming to the end of this game were running out quickly. He learned very quickly that he had to use his early gas in his game, especially for his style of deck early on, which really didn't give him enough advantage to push into the middle to late game. Any final thoughts, Ty?
Yeah, I think this was. I think this could have been winnable. This is a tough one because it's very hard to say, but I think it's an interesting deck, and I think that I'm curious because I don't think I remember even seeing Action Leader from Hawkeye in there either. I didn't see him discard that, so I'm curious to see. I think this might have been a bad matchup for him in some ways because I think John's just was pure gas, and I do think that had he ventured for the win during the lockout hand, he would have had it there. I think that was the big missed opportunity. That's the only real error that I think Josh made.
I think if Josh would have maybe taken an extra second and taken for that moment where he understand he was going to do the lockout, realized that he had his 6-4 plus the Cthulhu 11, understanding that Jonathan would have had to have a lot of defense, both from his any heroes at that particular time to block both of those particular cards, as well as having, no negate character. He would have needed his Merlin to also manipulate one of the lock-off cards on Josh's side. I think that might have been his opportunity to win this game. Now, of course, you and I both have been in many tournaments and understand that making those pivotal decisions in those minute moments are very tough to do, especially when it's to go for the win or to go for the loss, especially in the first game of a tournament.
Yeah, my biggest clue would have been the fact that Silver Sable had no play special and Abomination didn't. And if Josh had bet for the win, it would have surprised John. And I don't think there's any way John would have not placed his last negate if he would have had it. So at that point, I'd be looking at my odds of if I venture 5 and he draws 3 cards, what are the chances of him drawing that last negate out of what's left in his draw pile? And that would have made the decision. But player behavior gets you a lot of clues sometimes just based off of expecting them to do certain things.
And of course, always looking at that you had the open Silver Sable should he have had any of the Silver Sable avoids. Well, thank you again for joining us. What an amazing first round. We look forward to having you for the rest of this tournament. Thank you again. This has been the PeaceBridge 2025 round 1. This has been Marcel and Ty. We'll see you shortly in round 2.
Thanks, everybody.